All right, it's live. Welcome everybody to the Nerves Meetup February 2019 edition. Tonight we have three of us, maybe more joining later or something. We'll see if people come or go. But tonight we have a first timer, Greg. Greg, how do you say your last name?
Mefford.
Mefford? I was going to go with Meaford, so way off. I know I've seen you around quite a bit in the Nerve space, but do you want to just give a quick introduction?
Yeah, I've been on the Nerves core team for a few years, and I am currently working on getting my Lone Star training ready to go. It's building a smart camera with Nerves. I mostly help out with documentation and guides and project maintenance more than a whole lot of code contributions on Nerves lately, just because I don't use it at work anymore. But I used to work at Latote where we used it at work. So that's pretty much me.
Nice. Also on the call, John Karstens, regular attendee of the meetup. John's going to give us a demo on a project in a little bit. And then I'm Mike Reese, and I'm going to kick things off tonight with a quick demo or just a quick walkthrough of a project I put together somewhat recently. Let's see. All right. John or Greg, can either of you guys see my slides? I can't see.
Yes, yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, sorry, I lose visual of the other feeds.
We both gave you a thumbs up.
Silent thumbs up. All right, so so this is I've seen a bunch of similar. I've seen people like post on Twitter about doing similar things. This is a pretty basic project. It fits into my recent motif of what can I build in a weekend for under $50, which I've been just doing a lot of these kinds of projects, and just it's a good way. I also don't work full time with Nerves at the moment or ever so far, but I'm wanting to get into maybe building things and renting things or whatever. So for me, a lot of Nerves is just kind of doing stuff for fun that helps me along the learning curve. So this problem starts off with a school bus. I have a son who is 5 years old, and he's diagnosed autistic, and so he goes to a small groups kindergarten. And we're really lucky that the school district near us will send a bus to come pick him up, because I have other kids that we have to drop off at different schools and stuff like that. But the only tricky thing is that the school bus, because it's just picking up kids for the small groups kindergarten, its schedule is more flexible. So a lot of times it comes sometime between 12:10 and 12:40. And I really hate sitting by a window, looking out a window for 30 minutes. And then on top of that, this is what my house looks like, but these two windows both just go into the garage. You can't actually see out them from inside the house. And then these two windows on the other side are like in closets. And so you can't really see in front of my house from inside the house unless you're upstairs by the one window. So whenever periodically my wife would be out of town or doing things with friends, and I would be home to kind of do the school run stuff. And every day that I had to just like sit there and carefully watch to make sure I didn't miss the school bus, it just irked me. So eventually I decided to try to solve this problem with code. And so hardware for this project is pretty minimal. I just grabbed a Pi Zero. This one was on Adafruit and $14. I also grabbed one of the Raspberry Pi camera modules. If you order one of these and you do have a Raspberry Pi Zero, in the image you can see there's like a gold ribbon cable. You need that one if you're going to connect it to a Raspberry Pi Zero. If it's one of the full-size Raspberry Pis, then this white ribbon cable is what you need. But again, it doesn't really cost anything, and this one came with a couple of extra lenses. So I did that much. And then mixnerves.new --init gadget, which will generate you a new project, and it'll set up init gadget with some of the basics. And then I added this PyCam dependency that you can see just below Nerves, and that's just a library for interacting with that Raspberry Pi camera. And then I also, that cam web dependency is this is in a Poncho project, and so that's a little Phoenix app. I'm not gonna talk very much about the code of that Phoenix app unless people have questions about it. But it's pretty much just a stock vanilla Phoenix.new without Ecto. And so then I made a little tiny gen server, and all it does is in the init function, it sets the resolution, the desired resolution of the camera, and then it starts this loop where it's just going to keep running the handle the info timeout, and then it has a pause time, and so it always will wait for the next timeout and pause for around a second between frames, and then I just grab when I'm handling that timeout, I grab the next frame, base64 encode it. I also grab a Unix timestamp in milliseconds, and then I just publish those. And so since I'm depending on the Phoenix app, I can just call broadcast here and just basically keep broadcasting a frame around once a second. Then in my application.ex on the host, I supervise pycam.fake camera and my little custom gen server. And then when I'm on a device, I supervise the actual camera and the bus cam. And this fake camera, it comes with the library. It publishes a static image, or every time you ask for a frame, it just gives you back a static image, which is really nice for testing. And so when you have that much, then I put together some Legos. This is my super well done and carefully engineered solution. I have the wide angle lens put on the front of the Pi camera board, and then some Legos to just hold it roughly in the right orientation, and hook that to my Pi Zero, plug it into power. And then what you get is something that kind of looks like this. So it's dark outside where I am now, but this is a recording from earlier. And that's me and that's not a shadow, that's my 3-year-old son standing next to me. But you can see enough of the front yard that you can see when the bus is coming. And so my wife uses this pretty much actually I tried to call her yesterday at lunchtime. I was at work, and I tried to call her, and she answered, and she goes, "Hey, can I call you right back? I'm actually just watching the camera for the bus to come, and I can't watch the video and talk to you at the same time." So blessing and a curse, but project was overall a success. So that's pretty much it. It's a really basic project, around $30 of hardware, and you're off to the races. So
have the kids moved your camera yet?
Not yet. That room also happens to be whenever I'm working from home. I work out of that room, so we usually keep the door locked just because it has like monitors and wires and stuff in there. And so the kids are not used to going in there very much. So they haven't messed with it so far. And I usually also keep the blinds on the window closed so that the device is behind the blinds. But I'm sure some of my neighbors have wondered what that blinking green light for the Pi Zero status blinking LED. I'm sure they sometimes wonder what that is. But yeah, it's working so far. Pretty basic.
So is it currently just a camera? It's just a video, or are you still working on trying to detect that there's a bus or objects in there?
Yeah, so I was actually mentioning this to Greg before the call as well. Connor Rigby posted some stuff about trying to do computer vision, and he had GitHub repos that are kind of like experimental, one for OpenCV and one for a library called SOD, S-O-D. And I tried to get SOD up and running, and I downloaded a bunch of images of school buses off the internet to make my training set, and I got it compiled on my machine, did a bunch of trainings, and then the accuracy was just crap. And so I think maybe I need to carefully, I'm not sure if I might need to do some pre-processing on the training data, maybe just mask out just the one part of the image of where the bus is in that image or something like that, because it seemed to be detecting grass and cloudy skies as school buses, and those were kind of in the background of some of the school bus images. So I'm guessing there's more than I need to do there. I am hoping to get to the point where I can do some image recognition, and then maybe even send a little push notification to a phone or something like that. So maybe updates in the future, but for now, it's a lot better than standing with the front door open for 25 minutes while I wait for the bus to come. Oh, it looks like we got some more friends on the call. Todd Residek, are you there?
Sorry, finding my button. Yeah, sorry, I just got back from a late dinner, so sorry I'm a little late.
No, you're good. It's good to hear your voice. And then Evan, it looks like you jumped in as well.
Yeah, I lost track of time, so I came in a few minutes late, but it's a pretty cool project.
Thanks, yeah. Have you been working on anything recently, Evan?
A little bit here and there. I've been pulled off the side to work on something else, but I've still been tinkering.
Nice.
So I do actually have a question about it real quick.
Yeah, shoot.
So for the Pi Zero, is there any benefits of having a larger, or like I guess some better hardware like the Pi 3? Or is the Pi Zero like the best fit for that type of application?
It was the best fit for, I had already ordered it and didn't have it used in a project.
So if I could chime in, the Pi Zero is really great for the camera component of the project for sure, because it's like small and it's basically the same size as the camera module. Like they're sort of made to work together. Okay.
I was just thinking like image processing would probably be a little faster or whatever on the 3, but if that's kind of what the Pi Zero was built around, then that's awesome.
Yeah, the Pi 3 would definitely be a lot faster for processing and like your OpenCV stuff. Like I bet the Pi Zero will struggle with any kind of image recognition kind of stuff, but it probably would work. It just won't be that fast.
Huh. Still really cool.
Yeah, so we'll see. I definitely planned to, if I ever got my model actually trained to really detect something, then I was going to do some benchmarking. And I'll share that as the project moves along in the future. But for the moment, since it's literally just once a second, ask the camera for another frame, give me another JPEG, and then base 64 encode it, I figured that was easy enough just to do. And I opened up a remote observer to watch, and the CPU loading was at like 7% idling as it was as it was sending images once a second. So I figure it's handling the job at the moment, but yeah, I wonder, depending on what image recognition I end up using, I think it's likely that I'll need a different piece of hardware.
Yeah, I'll also say that the Pi camera actually does a lot of heavy lifting in the GPU as far as the actual like JPEG encoding goes. So it's pretty efficient at streaming video. The way that you're re-encoding it and pushing it over a channel is going to slow it down a lot. So like 1 frame per second is going to be fine. But if you in the training that I'm working on, it actually streams motion JPEG as like an HTTP stream, and you can actually get 30, 60 frames a second of 720p video. So it's like pretty smooth and nice.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And then and because you're publishing as the MPEG stream, then that means that it's offloaded all that encoding to the GPU.
Right. It does go through Elixir still, obviously, but yeah, it's a pretty efficient transfer from the GPU into Erlang, and then it's just like Phoenix chunked encoding as opposed to like a Phoenix channel encode.
Nice. Well, one more reason that I should have gone to Lone Star Elixir. Speaking of which, Todd, are you going to Lone Star? You're there to present, right?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm at the Lone Star sanctioned hotel right now. I'll be at Justin and Frank's training tomorrow on Nerves Hub.
Oh yeah, I forgot that training was going on tomorrow too. This is not a great year for me to be missing Lone Star Elixir Conf.
Yeah. Well, I'll bring back everything I learned for next month's meetup, so you won't feel like you missed out on anything. I got my demo sprinkler controller for my
so many switches.
The Drizzle 2000.
2000.
Because it's for the future, John.
You got to throw a big number in there somewhere.
I mean, I would have done 3,000, but
not that advanced. It's only 2,000 advanced. So I got nice spaghetti wires in there, but that's the That's the deal. That's what I'm bringing to my talk.
You're going to have to post pictures of that cable routing on that subreddit that's like cable porn or whatever, where it's just data center cabling and with zip ties.
I don't think this is very good. It's pretty messy, but maybe it's okay. I guess it's okay. Anyway, yeah, that's the Drizzle 2000, my friends.
It's awesome. Well, this has turned out to be, I think we were going to meet up last Wednesday, but both John and I were like not done with our projects. And so, but this turned out to be fortuitous timing that we got a couple of Lone Star Elixir people who are about to jump into a few days of what sounds like there's going to be a good amount of nerves content going on at the conference. Any other, we are going to have a quick demo. John's going to share his project with us. Does anyone else though have like any just nerves related or Elixir related things that they're excited about recently that they want to share? I wanted to give one quick shout out. So Evan, who's on the call. So I'm located in Utah, and I know that Evan, I think at the last monthly meetup that we had here locally, he gave a presentation about nerves. Which was kind of just sharing nerves for anyone who knows a little Elixir but just hasn't done any hardware yet. So I just wanted to give a shout out for that. I think that's a really, it's a unique thing right now within our language community that we have this community that intersects between web apps and hardware. And I've never seen a community that has that demographic before, or that kind of dichotomy. But I think it's a really amazing chance for a lot of people who are amazing coders to get their hands dirty with a little bit of hardware, and without needing to deal with, figuring out what size of capacitor do I need to put here, or which direction does this diode go, and this, all of that kind of stuff, right? They can experiment, they can learn. I think it's awesome, Evan, that you did that. So hat tip for that good work in spreading the love of nerves.
It was a really fun presentation. I tried to keep it really basic, and so we just did a blinking light and kind of ran through the basics of it. But it was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of people after the meetup that stayed and played with the Raspberry Pi to see how it is all working and had a bunch of questions. So I think it was very useful.
Nice. Anyone else? Any other Elixir Nerves news? Go, Greg.
I was just trying to look up and remember what the name was, but there was a recent announcement that there's a library now for Nerves Bluetooth that people have been waiting a long time for. It is called, I guess this is pronounced Harald, Harald, but it's a reference to King Harald Bluetooth from Denmark. Anyway, it's been a thing for a long time that there wasn't a good solution for Bluetooth on Nerves, and that seems to be an emerging thing that people are working on. So I thought I would let people know if they're looking for that.
I Googled Harald Bluetooth and got some really amazing images of this King of Denmark.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a link to the actual thing. The problem is that our Slack immediately rolls off.
Yeah, I saw that when they initially announced it, and that's some pretty cool stuff. My very first thought was doing like over Bluetooth mesh networking, and how cool that would be.
Yeah, it looks like it is just Harald, Harald, on Hex.
Yeah, but where is it on GitHub?
There's a GitHub link. Let's see. It's github.com/verypossible/Harald.
Okay, yeah. So the very team is working on it.
It's like the hardest company to search for, because very possible is such a ambiguous term.
What does anyone know what very possible does?
A lot of consulting, if I remember right.
I know they're in Chattanooga.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Shout out to Very Possible. We don't know who you are or what you do, but we all love your Bluetooth library.
I think they're also contributing a lot to Nerves Hub development.
Nice.
It'd be fun to see if we could somehow grab one of the team members to do a Bluetooth demonstration on the meetup.
Oh, that's a great idea. If anyone's watching or cares from Very Possible, reach out. We have a Twitter handle, Nerves Meetup. So hit us up there. I'll maybe just try and look around, see if I can get a hold of anybody and ask if they'd like to jump on and give a demo of maybe. I imagine that they have some use case for this, so maybe that would be a good demo to look at. I think, John Karstens, were you mentioning something about Bluetooth a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of meetups ago, a few months?
Sort of. So I have the Roombot, and I wanted to use Bluetooth to connect to it and move it around rather than have to stand up a Wi-Fi network. I guess for back history, a couple of years ago, Mike took a Roomba and gutted it and put this little controller in it, and then we used it as a recruiting tactic at MX. And he wrote all these libraries, or this library and Phoenix app to interact with it. And so people would come and we'd set up this little maze. And the first, 10 people to write an algorithm to solve the maze using the sensors and everything on the Roomba would get some prize.
Yeah.
But
I'll drop a link to, we have some really awesome YouTube videos of, these are they're kind of like kids, or not kids. I'm so old now that people in college are kids. But it was people working on their undergrad degrees, and they always will come out with free pizza involved. And so we'd have a couple of gift cards for the first few people. And so for us, it was kind of, like John said, it was a little bit of a recruiting thing, like, hey, let's meet some engineers who aren't just doing schoolwork, but want to do coding of some kind, and just trying to get to know those people and build some connections. But anyway, it's amazing how much excitement there is in a room when there's 30 people. And so the Phoenix app there's a little Raspberry Pi sitting on top of the Roomba, and it's talking UART into the Roomba to send and receive commands, but it's kind of a weird binary protocol. It's not weird, it's well done, but most people haven't written binary protocols. So the Phoenix app just talks that binary protocol with a little library called Roombex, which is on Hex. And then it exposes a interface via Phoenix channels, right? And so we had a bunch of these starter packages in different languages, where if you could send and receive JSON packets, you could get updates about the sensors, and you could send commands, and people could basically take turns writing a piece of code that would try to solve the maze by listening to the sensors and sending commands to the Roomba. And when people would get really close to the end, but then it turns the wrong way, everyone just would be like, oh no, I can't believe it failed. Or someone would be doing good, and all of a sudden their code would crash and the Roomba would just drive straight into the barriers and just get stuck in a corner. So it's amazing how much fun a Roomba can be when you have 30 nerds in a room. Those are a lot of fun projects. So I'm glad that John is looking to maybe pick it up and spruce it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't
right
be
here.
Roombot 2000, but maybe Roombot 1999.
I don't see the Pi, but yeah. Anyway, long story. We would use a little Wi-Fi network to communicate with it and run a little Phoenix app. And I'm going to use Bluetooth, then we don't have to have a little Wi-Fi router that everyone has to connect to.
Yeah. That's true, because almost all laptops now have Bluetooth built into them, right? So you could just basically pair to the device. That'll be a fun project. Maybe I'll look for something that I can do along those lines too. With my little webcam project, I just have it since the Phoenix app is running on the Nerves device. It's accessible to anyone on my Wi-Fi, but that was just a quick way of being I only care about security this much. I don't want anyone on the internet to be able to come watch this webcam of my neighbors. I figured I'd probably have to ask their permission if I was going to put it on the public internet. But anyone on my Wi-Fi, sure, you can go watch the page. But that kind of stuff just gets weird. MDNS with Apple products seems to work most of the time, and then sometimes it doesn't work. And so anyway, it'd be nice to have some other transport options. Any other nerves or Elixir related stuff people are interested in? Or should we move on to John's demo? All right, John, I think your escape room / storage room is up.
All right. First, I will point out a few weeks ago when we were planning the meetup. Here, let me share my screen. We had, there you go. Can you see this? We were talking about Wi-Fi, and I had mentioned that there's been updates to Nerve's network. So now you can specify multiple Wi-Fi networks at a time. And this is my project that I'm going to demo called Genie. And it's just to show down here how you can specify the multiple networks. The documentation is actually really good. If you go to the doc, it'll show, but since you guys asked me to show this anyway.
Oh yeah, can you just blow that up a little bit, John? Zoom in a little more.
Yeah. How's that?
Oh yeah, that's nice.
So this first network doesn't exist, but the second one is my actual network. And I guess you'll just have to believe me, but this is on the device running right now and it connects to my network, which means that it's skipping over what it doesn't know and can still get to the second one and go on. So super simple. There's also, if you look at the README page of the Nerves network, they show how you can do priority too. You can label a priority value for each of these wireless networks, and it would look to connect from there. All right. So how do I want to do this? In that. I don't have a fancy slideshow like Mike because I procrastinated too much and I just got the project done. So in a second, we're going to do a first ever walking through my house while on a meetup call to go downstairs to show you my project. But we were talking a little bit before. I have a lot of projects that are just solving like basic family dad issues. One of them is we have the storage room that's been a horrible mess for 2 years, and we just cleaned it up, and that's where we put all the kids' extra toys and stuff they just spread out everywhere. And we just cleaned it up a few months ago, and the kids were getting in and making a huge mess of it again. So then we put a door lock on it, and then they'd want to get in to get something, or they'd be doing the chores and cleaning up, and they would want to get in to put away toys while me or my wife were doing something else. So we'd have to stop what we're doing, go downstairs, pull a little key, jimmy it to unlock it, and get it in. So I decided that I should automate this first. And is I've got one of those electromagnetic plates that you attach on doors and put that on the door. And then I put a motion sensor inside the room connected to the lights and the lock. So, and then I created, oh, that's what I should do. Show this really quick. Okay, back to the web browser. So I made a website and it's super awesome.
I've never seen something like this before.
My front end skills are just on par, guys. But if you go to this storage room endpoint, I've got these buttons that say turn the lights on or it's unlocked or basically what's the state of them. And this is yet again connected to Drab. So it's live updating depending upon what the state of my downstairs is. So that looks like it keeps turning on and off. Anyway, you guys could actually go here if you want because I don't have it real secure.
What's the URL, John?
I just posted it in the general channel.
Oh, nice.
So I put some layer of security there. I put some OAuth using Facebook login because this eventually will be used by my wife as well. And I didn't want to have to manage a user system. So anyway, you can go there. You'll have to create a user. But if somebody does want to go there, you can actually click the lights on and off as I walk down there. So let's do this. Ta-da! You guys want to see my brigade of hardware and junk and projects scattered all over the place? Okay, it's gonna get a little dark. I wish you could show your screen and a portion of your camera at the same time. Here's my storage room. First off, here's the cool little magnetic lock thing. Yes, it's on the outside, technically not secure. You can just unscrew it, I guess, but little kids, right? And here's the brigade of hardware. My little Nerves controller, these are 30 amp relays because these electrical lines are 20 amp to my lights. So I was trying to make sure that I was covered. This won't be a point of failure since I'm pulling right into it. And then there's a little 12 volt. This is a 12 volt magnetic class thing, 12 to 24 volts it says. So I actually just went to Goodwill and got like a 12 volt adapter and just stripped it. I was starting to create like a converter, like a scaler, all that jazz, and I realized tons of plugs do this already for me. So why make more work? And then this little dangling thing right there is the actual motion sensor, which it's pretty sensitive right now. I don't know if I can stand still and watch it go off. But does anybody have that website open?
I tried to OAuth, but it said that the app is in development, and so I would have to be a registered test user to OAuth to it.
Ah, man, here. How about I add you quick?
Go for it. It's a very old email for me. I will DM it to you real quick.
That was fun.
Oh man, I really hope that I can turn off the lights in your house now.
I gotta figure out how to add users.
I've been trying to hack your desk and see if I can make your desk go up and down randomly.
all of John's public projects. I gotta say, I logged into my sprinkler controller interface the other day, and it's winter here, so there's actually not water pressure in the pipes at the moment. But when I logged in, zone 3 and zone 5 of my sprinklers were turned on, and I'm not sure if somebody worked around my security and turned them on or what, but or maybe it was just my kids messing around on my phone, but we'll have to check into that.
This is why I added those toggle switches to the Drizzle 2000. So I have like a physical way of turning them off or on without having to rely on the nerve stuff.
Physical security is it's easy to understand.
Override, yeah.
Hey, Mike, can you send me your Facebook username?
Actually, do I know my Facebook username?
Or maybe I just need to add you as a friend on Facebook. Because it sees your brother. Apparently we're friends on Facebook.
When I just pulled this up, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't been on Facebook in like 9 years. And so I didn't think I would remember how to log in, but LastPass apparently remembers that. Let's see. How do I see my own username?
Do you guys see the lights turning off?
Yeah.
If I stand really still, it might work. I mean, that's kind of cool.
They just on a timer when it doesn't detect.
No, It's the motion. So if I wave my hand now for the cool motion sensor.
Nice.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
It's like dangling right there.
Does it just give you a digital upper, like, 1 or 0 on one of your things?
So here, I'll post you guys can look at the repos. Dang it, where is it? It's called a genie. Like genie in a bottle. An open sesame to open my doors magically. There's a couple of files in the lib directory, which are the cool ones, but there's this one I'm posting for the motion sensor, and it's actually really, really simple. And in fact, most of the control is actually on this little sensor. And the camera's pretty bad. Probably not. There's these 2 little orange dials, and those actually control the sensitivity and the timing. It's just got this big 10K resistor and adjustable resistor, and you're basically turning and adjusting. And then there's a jumper on it to set the toggle mode. So you can either have it when it gets tripped, it just waits the set amount of time, and then it goes back to low afterwards, or you can set it to be like an active toggle. So every time it gets tripped or detects motion, it basically resets the time. The 2 different modes on there. But then really, if you look at this file, all I'm doing is just detecting when it goes low and when it goes high. Or it'll send a message when it goes low or when it goes high, depending upon the motion. And there's not much else to it that you have to do because so much is controlled on the little device. Do you share? Is it Michael Sarah Reese? I'm just gonna add you as a friend.
Yeah, do it. I really want to be able to control your house, man.
Okay.
Now that we live in different states, some influence.
Okay, do it. Friend request sent.
Okay. All right. It's probably going to show up as one of my 43 unread notifications.
I think it has its own section as a friend request.
It's one of 11 unresponded. Well, sorry, all people I ever knew during high school.
Yeah, I could just, there we go. Friends now.
Okay, and I'm going to try the OAuth now.
Oh, hold on, I gotta.
Oh, you still have to add me?
You are trying to add users that haven't verified their accounts. Tell Michael Sarah to go to Help Center to complete the verification.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm willing to verify my.
How about I just turn this out of development and I'll make it public? Maybe that'll work for you. Okay, try now.
Yes, continue. Oh, I got an internal server error when it redirected back to jjcarsons.com/auth.
Well, that's not cool.
Maybe because you're expecting it to be in dev mode, or maybe it's passed things differently when it's not dev mode.
I don't know. So, it's because of how I'm parsing the username, and you have 3 names in your user's name.
John.
So let's live
against people with more than 2 names.
Yeah, let's live patch this.
Are you hot loading code?
I was able to get in, and I'm the one playing with the lights.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Evan, way to only have 2 names.
You could do the door too.
Does it click or anything to here?
Yeah. So if you, and then the light will also come on. See on the top right there?
So what you're saying is that if Evan
There's an
doesn't want
LED.
you to, you might never come out of your basement?
Actually, I'm I either don't have it turning the lights on. I either don't have it flush enough, or I'm not actually getting 12 volts out of this adapter because it's pretty weak. I could just pull it off. It's not quite kid proof, but you know what? It's a demonstration proof.
Nice. You might just need like more amps provided from that. Like if the 12 volt is, a lot of 12 volt adapters will only do like 1 amp or something like that because they are just powering a baby monitor or whatever. You might just need more power.
Yeah, it could be.
Sweet.
Here. Well, that's pretty much it. I can. Oh my goodness. I gotta find where I'm doing this user stuff.
While Evan messes with your life.
For once, it's not me.
By the way, I have to say, this is the best live demo, live coding, and live production patch I've ever seen at the same time.
Yeah. I can't even tell if the motion or you guys are just turning it off.
When the door is locked, does it also toggle the light?
Yeah. Well, no. When you toggle the door, when you click the lock the door, I believe it just locks the door. Like both those buttons are independent. It's only the motion sensor that triggers both items, the lights and the door.
Got it. I just must have happened to be, I locked the door at the same time the light went off earlier.
Yeah, I'm putting up this fix.
In the meantime, I was trying to, this is a sad commentary, but I was trying to change my Facebook to only have 2 names, and you managed to patch your production environment faster than I could change my name. Oh, I just found it. Oh, password confirmation. Beat John.
All right, now I'm just waiting for it to deploy. Or I guess the hot reload. Oh yeah, so basically that's it. While Mike's figuring out how to control my lights. Is there anything else you guys wanted to know about it? It's so funny the time that it took me to make this site and this page to be live reloading and get the sensors all connected. It's like a 5-minute show.
Where did you get that lock from?
Amazon.
What do you think it's called? Is it just like electromagnetic lock?
Yeah, that's my guess. This is the sheet. I don't know if you can see the text on it, but it's definitely Chinese. So I just guessed, and I played with the multimeter and went off reviews online.
You're saying you didn't use Google's awesome camera translation app?
You know, I didn't even think to do that. It's also not that hard of a concept. Like, there's a lot of other things on here if you were going to integrate it with other systems and switches. And mine was just a relay, you know, just 2 wires is all I needed. Oh, it's almost, my internet is slow.
How much did it cost? I see a lot of different ones on here.
Hey, let me look.
Like $20 or something?
I think I went for as cheap as I could, so it's probably 10. Usually that's my rule, $10 or less. I mean, I'll buy 100 things at $10 or less, but 15.
Okay.
Yes, that was me.
Is that Mike now?
Yes.
Oh, geez.
A lot of these are rated by pounds. So there's like a 1,200 pound one.
Oh yeah. So I just posted it. This one's 130 pounds, which I thought would be enough. Maybe I'm just not. Maybe I can just push more than 130 pounds.
130 pounds is just a fraction of yourself.
Yeah, but it's double my kids, so.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
proof, but you're just like the Incredible Hulk.
It's all those squats.
Yeah, so this one's $15. That relay was $10, or maybe it's 12. I kind of had to spend more because I wanted the beefy 30 amp rating. So I don't catch my house on fire. But yeah, so I had initially, the reason what took me so long, I had initially tried to tie into this box right here where you see this dangling plug. But what I had assumed was a 3-way circuit for the light was only a single 1-way. So when you connect that like to the power outlet, every time it would complete the circuit for the light, the whole room would just shut off and trip my breaker. Or actually, it would just power surge, and then everything would restart. And so I was in this loop of flashing where every 10 seconds this room would just, and then my Pi would restart everything. Yeah, so that was fun.
Well, I think that's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. So I mean, it sounds like you had somewhere around $30 worth of hardware plus Raspberry Pi. Is that a Raspberry Pi 3 on the wall?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe $60 total.
Yeah, but the Raspberry Pi 3 is just because I had that one extra lying around. That's actually from my sprinkler controller. Just figured why I'm not using it right now. So I'll repurpose until I get a new one. But I mean, it doesn't need to be the 3. It could just be a 10. I actually, I just went to turn off the lights, but I can't. Somebody want to turn off the lights for me?
Come on it.
Okay, that was awesome.
And you can lock it.
Locked.
So I originally bought a bunch of Arduino Nanos. And I wasn't going to use a little Raspberry Pi down there. I was going to keep one central nerves controller and then communicate over radio to send the requests. Let me put this down now. Down there to do all the unlocking and all that jazz. But turns out radio is hard, so I did not get that done. And yeah.
Also, the Arduinos, you basically have to write C for those, right?
It's like, I mean, basically, I don't know, it's a very specific version of C, I guess I would call it. It's like an Arduino language.
Yeah.
And it's really not difficult. There's just a couple basic concepts. And then for the most part, like, it's pretty easy to find what you need. and move around. Plus, there are tons of articles and stuff where people have done it. In fact, that's been my biggest frustration is I go to research these concepts and I want to know some of the whys and inner workings, right? And all I find is like, oh, just copy this code. Oh, somebody already made this library. So just write this code in there. But I want to know why the radio is doing that. But yeah, so that's what these things are. These are my experiments with LoRa and integrated, which is long range radio with these cool little antennas sticking up.
Nice.
Integrated microcontroller with the LoRa board on it, so you can do radio and the microcontroller in one. I did have this little, so you can get on Amazon or anywhere really, these really cheap transmitter receiver modules, and they're actually super easy to get working. They just are very inconsistent and have a horrible range. So, and then outside of that,
are there any Arduinos with built-in Bluetooth? Like, I wonder if that could be some Bluetooth project. Because I a couple of times I've wanted to just have multiple temperature sensors in different parts of my house. And same thing, I'm like, well, I mean, I could, honestly, for $14, you can buy a couple of Raspberry Pi Zeros and, just do it that way. Well, have them all be on your Wi-Fi, but it does feel a little bit heavyweight to have an entire Raspberry Pi when all it needs to do is just like read values off of the sensor and send them somewhere.
So for me, it's just coming down to power, because the Raspberry Pi you could usually get cheaper, but it eats way more power. So this thing, you can get it down to a deep sleep and be able to respond to incoming requests and only use a few nanoamps, or is it nanoamps? Yeah, something like that. Less or microamps, a few microamps of power, which means you could just run it on a 3-volt battery for weeks or even months, and just have it in the background. Where like a Raspberry Pi, I don't know how to get that down to that low of power. So your battery life's like a day with a huge battery. But yeah, so this thing is the Adafruit M0 board with LoRa, but basically you can get this in any other communication flavor, like with the LoRa radio or just regular RFM69 or even Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. It's just kind of a modular component. And there's other stuff like the ESP8266, I think it's called. Maybe it's 8299. Or the
ESP86, yeah.
Yeah, or ESP32, which have integrated 2.4 gigahertz network Wi-Fi on them. And you can actually get to pretty low power usage on those as well.
I posted in the Slack group, there's a company that does like an Arduino competitor called Particle. It's all the same like C flavor of code, but they have integrated like Bluetooth, and then this is actually where I came with the mesh networking idea. It was through their newest product, which has the Bluetooth mesh networking. And I've been working with those, and they're pretty fun. They have Wi-Fi on board as well as Bluetooth, and so you can just publish cloud functions over Wi-Fi, or you can even Bluetooth to them. So those are something I've been playing with a little bit on the side, and they're pretty cool.
Yeah, my current goal is what I've been really researching is just cost and power consumption. So this thing is not cheap. This was like a $30 little board, and it's more for experimentation. Like for the long use, I would like to be $10 or less for these little microcontrollers in order to put them around the house. And I think those particle boards,
they're like $25, $30, and
yeah.
They're definitely not something you could do off of a 3-volt battery. I've actually been thinking about my next project of somehow doing blinds, so like window shades that will open or close automatically. And every time I say I want to use like nerves to do it, I don't want to run cabling or wiring from every single window in my house to a single unit. And then as well, the particles, I'd still have to run power to all of them. And so I've been trying to find another solution for that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, with this new.
Sorry, I've done some work with the Adafruit trinket, Arduino trinkets, and they have so it's $6.95 for the trinket, and it's 8 megahertz, and you can run it at 16 if you need extra speed. But that just to give you an idea of like why it takes so little power compared to I think a Pi Zero is 1.2 gigahertz single core.
Yeah.
So this is 8 gigahertz or 8 megahertz rather. So, but yeah, it's like $7 for that, and it's pretty tiny.
Yeah, I got like a pack of Arduino Nanos for the basically Arduino Nano knockoffs. $3 a board. So pay like $15 for 5 of them, something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say I have a friend here up in Salt Lake that he had a meetup. He helped to run a makerspace for a while, and they had a regular thing going around ESP8266s because you can buy them if you buy them individually, you can get them under $10 for sure. If you buy them like in a group of like 20, so not even like huge orders, you can get them at like $3 a piece. And so similarly, it's like I'm pretty sure that Arduino SDK or like the IDE that will generate the right bootloader and everything works with that same board as well. And it has watchdog timers. You can do deep sleep, all that kind of stuff. So it's much more like an embedded C controller than anything like nerves. But same thing, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on board. So I wonder, maybe we should, for a future meetup, maybe a couple of us should investigate a few of these options and just kind of see what we can get working and what kinds of uses they might fit well for. Because I think for things like sensors, it's definitely being able to just like run off of a small battery and it's going to go for months or years at a time could be a big win. But some of the other projects I've been wanting to, I think actually will take more power. Like I want to, in the upstairs of our house can get really hot during the summer. And there's a lot of times the inside temperature is hotter than the outside temperature, which is just like, there's a no-brainer solution here of opening a window. And so I've been thinking about getting a stepper motor with a couple of, and just read the internal temperature of the house, read the outside temperature from a weather API or whatever, or a sensor, and then just like open the window when that's the logical thing to do. And that would take obviously more power for the stepper motor. So I don't know if I have a great project in mind right now, but it'd be interesting maybe just look at the trinket, the ESP8266, and a few of these other alternatives and just see what kind of use cases we can find.
Yeah, I think that would be really good. My next project is another dad solution. My kids always argue over whose turn it is for riding in the favorite seat of the truck, or whose turn it is to unload the dishwasher. And then they frequently, when I tell them whose turn it is, say, "No, it's not that one. I did it last time." So I made this picture frame. It's just a big wooden board that houses all of our pictures with a little acrylic glass behind it. And I put an LED to the back of that. And I made a randomizer so that I can select what the selection is, and it will randomly select whose turn it is, and it will keep track and will not select that person until all the rest have been selected, so that it's programmatically fair. And the kids can't yell at me anymore for not remembering whose turn it is. Oh, and so it'll light up the picture. So we'll basically have a button on that frame. You push it, it selects, lights up their picture. That's who turn it is. I got to figure out the battery situation.
If you have actually found a way to make kids stop complaining or yelling at you as dad, like I'm skeptical, but I hope that I'm wrong, because that would be amazing.
Really, it's just deferred, deferred arguments. I'll solve this, but then they'll find something else to be upset about. And then I'll find some other elixir or nerve solution to solve that.
Fatherhood is amazing. All right, well, I think we've gone on for long enough this month. I just want to say a big thanks to everyone for jumping in. It was good to see everyone. Greg, it was good to get to meet you a little bit more. I'll reach out. So I'm going to try to reach out to Connor Rigby to ask if he wants to share anything around computer vision, the stuff that he's been doing. And I'll also reach out to the Harald team, just look at who the maintainers are and see if any of them want to come and share a quick demo or have something that they could kind of share with the group. So I'll follow up on those two. If anyone else in the meantime has topics or projects that they want to share, just drop them in the Slack channel, and we will probably get together towards the end of March. So
I saw today that Chris Fries posted a blog post about a library that he made to manage power in Raspberry Pis with nerves. So that might be interesting with the discussion that we were having tonight.
Yeah, power control, right? I read through his article, and I probably just requires doing more benchmarking. But the benchmarks he was showing still, I was skeptical if you would still get better power consumption out. I mean, you would get better, but not to the level that I'm looking for.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to run a Raspberry Pi at super, super low power just because it's Linux and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think the benchmarks he was showing was like he had a couple of turning everything off and idle. He was at like 300 milliwatts, which is great. But yeah, some of those C controllers, I think you can get down, like you were saying, to microwatts.
There is that Atom VM. Have you guys seen that or read a few of the articles about it? This guy made it's like in super early development, and it's called Atom VM with a T. And he got Elixir to run on an ESP 8266.
What?
And I just now remembered it. It's like a very, very compressed, dumbed down, like very minimal.
Yeah, last time I looked, it didn't support all of Elixir or didn't run OTP or whatever, but it was an interesting experiment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool experiment. But it's like 2 modules worth or something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll check into that. That sounds up my alley. I was also watching. There's a project for a while called Parallella. I assume they're still going, but it's similar form factor to a Raspberry Pi, but at like $200 a piece. But it has, I think it had a 16-core ARM processor, and then it had like a 64-core coprocessor. And it also had a fairly large FPGA on board, so you could actually do a lot of really interesting stuff with it. And there was lots of examples of doing stuff with low-level C, but someone had a research project going at one of the universities where they managed to get the Erlang VM, like a full copy of the Erlang VM, to run on the coprocessor. And they had to do some tuning, like the default stack size when you spin up a new process, instead of it being like, I think by default it's like 1 kilobyte or something like that. And they had to like bring it down to like 200 bytes. So there's some tuning they had to do, but they actually got it running. And so you could actually run Erlang code across all 64 of those coprocessor cores, which is pretty amazing. So yeah, dude, the world of like people doing cool things with VMs is way above my pay grade, but I would love to play around with something like that. All right, in any case though, we should wrap up for this month, but thank you again to everyone for being on, and I'll see all you guys next month.
See you later. Thanks for the presentations.
Sure.